Welcome to the Four Brewers Podcast. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I am joined by
Jason Harris
and Tim Mather.
And this week, we're going back to Belgium. For some weird reason, I just felt like drinking Belgian beers, specifically like Trappist, like darker beers. I don't know why. I get this weird hankering sometimes when it's really hot to have like really high ABV heavy beers, and it sounded like fruity Belgian beers would hit the spot. So that's what we're drinking this week. We've got a plethora of different types of Belgian beer, both like just regular Belgian style beers, Belgian beers from Belgium, and then Trappist beers from Trappist breweries that kind of tie in with all those too. But before we get into that, I just want to give a shout out to a new patron on Patreon, to Scott Holtog. He signed up just at the end of August. So thank you so much to Scott for supporting the show. And if you want to support the show and get some cool perks in the process, you can go to supporttheshitoutofit.com and give us your money. And that being said, I wanted to follow up on something, not from the last episode. I posted on Instagram a repost from the LA County Brewers Guild. Apparently in LA County, and you know, everything that's happening with COVID-19 and, you know, restaurants and businesses opening and stuff like that, it's been kind of chaotic. And initially, just a quick timeline, everything in California was shut down in March. And then I want to say, what was it, July-ish? Things were allowed to reopen.
It was right before Labor Day was when it went downhill. Yeah, but I think you're right, July-ish.
Well, Labor Day is in September.
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
Sorry,
Memorial Day.
Yeah, so the end of May.
So end of May, July-ish. Tasting rooms were allowed to open with food service, I believe is what it was. You couldn't have indoor service, but you could have outdoor service, and you had to have social distancing between tables, and you had to wear your mask when you weren't at your table. And as long as you were consuming food and drinking beer, you could visit a tasting room. And then shortly thereafter, that was shut down again because it was like, wait a minute, this is not working. This is not working. And things were shut down again. And then they came back in a weird way once Gavin Newsom kind of figured things out and saw where things were going. And right now there's a more specific plan in place. But as it stands right now, breweries, I believe the way it is in Southern California, can have on-premise purchase of beers as long as they have food service as well, and they have outside dining or whatever, tables outside. And that's they basically went back to how it was at the end of May, beginning of June. So for LA County, though, the LA County Board of Directors decided that LA County was not going to go by that criteria, and LA County breweries are not allowed to basically offer beer on site, on premise. I think you could still get it to go, but you can't consume it there. And so like places like LA Ale Works, they're the first one that comes to mind because they have this massive outdoor dining space. Tim brought up Brewery West when we were talking earlier. They have this massive, parking lot that they're utilizing. And whether or not you agree with going to places to eat and consume beer, the fact is that what the LA County Brewers Guild is trying to say is LA County should have to follow the same rules as every other county in California, and they just want everything to be fair. And so I've I've preached on the show, and I still say it, don't go anywhere, put your social life on hold for, the rest of the year. If you have to go out, obviously. But, the fun things that I like to do, I'm not doing. I'm not going to tasting rooms. I'm not going out to eat. And it sucks. And so I still abide by that. But at the same time, I support what the LA County Brewers Guild is doing, because LA should play by the same rules. So that's what I meant by the post. I didn't really get into it on Instagram at all. I put some hashtags on it and some mentions on it, and that's pretty much it. And we got a comment from someone on Insta. It was from Dawn Patrol Cutlow. And their comment was, per 4 Brewers, we need to stay at home and put our social lives on hold. What this is promoting goes against what is said on the podcast. And they're totally right, because that's exactly what I thought before I posted this thing on Instagram. And my response was basically what I said right now. Like, that's a great question. I thought about that before I posted it, and here's what I'm thinking.
And I've been actually hesitating for the same reason, because I get the plight. A lot of our friends are being hit by stuff like this, and it sucks for their business, right? So, like, I get them wanting the rules to apply to them, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I just wish nobody was going out and everyone is still just buying to-go beer, because
sure, ideally, I want that too. I wish, obviously, I wish our leaders, both federally and locally, would have gotten their shit together earlier on, and we wouldn't even have to be here right now. Like, that's what it all comes down to, without getting into how complex this is and who fucked up and who didn't and who was wrong and right. The fact is, we were unprepared for this, and we're still kind of crawling our way through it. And we don't know what to do. And so we're safer. This is my opinion. If you're going to go out, while the numbers right now are still like, there's 1,000 people dying on average per day in the United States. And that's not, in March when we shut down, we didn't have that many deaths per day. But now we have precautions in place. For the most part, people are wearing masks. They are social distancing. The breweries are definitely taking this seriously, because they have to. And so even though we're having, no trend, nothing is trending downward really. Things are still as bad as they ever were, but these precautions are in place. And so if you're going to go to a place, at least that the tasting room you're going to is being as safe as possible, and they're taking this seriously because they want to stay open. And while I still disagree with going out, if you're going to go out, now is kind of the safest time to do it, I guess, because all of these precautions are in place.
Well, and it's like 100% like a catch-22 in this scenario, because as it's clear, like, we all fully support don't go out if you don't have to, because there's still some sort of level of risk no matter what. But at the same time, there are all these breweries that, if you think about it, if somebody's willing to follow the rules and go out, places like Brewery West, which I was mentioning, they have a giant like asphalt area right outside their door that could be very safely set up. And I would probably feel more like, I would, as much as I would stay home, like, I would consider that as an option. I would be very safe. I would sanitize everything myself. And like, I would probably be the overly concerned person, but it's outdoors, and I don't know. It's hard, because we don't want our friends at the breweries to, fully dry up, because there's only so much you can do with to-go beer. And yes, I realize, the whole fairness and everything. It's just, it's difficult. It's really hard.
The comment that was posted on Instagram, it's right. And I'm not going to say they were accusing me of being a hypocrite, but it kind of sounds hypocritical for me to say one thing on the show and then post a thing, save the LA breweries, And I get it, because I was I wasn't even vague. I didn't even put a comment. Like, maybe I should have put a comment on it, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think we clarified pretty well.
Yeah.
Per the comments, I think we should move on to beer.
Yeah, it's like, talking about beer sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So just to wrap it up, if you want to go to at LA Brewers on Instagram, they have information there on what you can do. There's online contacts for contacting LA Board of Supervisors to, contact them about pushing them to let these breweries open back up. So,
beer time.
Belgium.
Belgium.
The Belgian.
Yeah. So,
Belgian excellence.
hang on.
Unlike John, I did not go for lots of rich, dark beers. In fact, all of mine, I think, are yellow in color.
I think what we're gonna all have in common, though, is they're higher ABV than we thought they'd be.
Uh-huh.
The first one on deck is Duvel from Duvel. And this is 8.5%, which I just bought it. I didn't even look at the ABV on it. There's no Duvel Light. So
Yours is 8.5?
Yeah, 8.5 alcohol by volume. Yeah.
The Duvel triple hop, apparently adding triple hop with Citra, bumps it up to 9.5.
Oh, right. More hops, more fun.
Have fun, Jason.
Yeah. I picked up the regular Duvel and was like, wait, they have one with hops? I'll get that one.
Back in 2017, July 30th, on season 4, episode 31 of the show, we did a show called Belgium Independence. And on that show, we tried to gather as many of the Trappist beers as we could find. We had West Vleteren, Duvel, La Trappe, Trappist, Akel, Westmalle, Trappist Rochefort, Chimay, and then Rodenbach. Rodenbach is not a Trappist brewery. They're just a good. They are Belgian, right? But they fit in with the beer. So we have done an actual like Trappist beer show if you want to check that out. And this is not that. This is just like a grab bag of different Belgian beers because, like I said, I was in the mood for Belgian beer. So,
which is great because I admittedly. When I first got into beer, people were all up, like obviously like craft beer was picking up and everything was getting hot here, but Belgian beers had still kind of had this like mystique that was really hot and everybody's like, oh yeah, the Belgian beers and all this stuff. And in the beginning, I just was not having it. There's something about it. There's like, I feel like I can say it and everybody will know there's like that Belgian-y character.
It's like the estery kind of spicy note that you don't really ever get from American lager.
Yeah.
Neutral stuff.
Or any other real beer, right? Yeah, the estery spicy note, which we honestly on the show will probably just say Belgian to shorthand that is usually like how we'll describe it.
And that's exactly it. And so over the years, I've actually really come to love them, especially I didn't go to Belgium, but I had some Belgian beers while in Europe, and yeah, I definitely have a soft
spot. One of my favorite experiences in craft beer has been going to the very Belgian focused bars that are getting kind of more and more rare these days. Like a lot of your craft beer bars don't. It used to be pretty obligatory that like half their handles were Belgian. And now it's like, some bars don't even really carry any proper Belgian beer at all. And I love going in and they have all the different glassware and all the different beers served in different shaped glass and everything. It's just a very, very tactile experience and very nice, which is why I brought out this random Ommegang glass with a gold rim. Just felt like it'd be fun to have a weird glass.
I love it.
I have a bunch of those weird glasses as well, but I just stuck with the regular, run of the mill, good for everything Belgian tulip-ish glass. So the first beer on deck, like I said, is Duvel from Duvel Mortgat. This is 8.5% ABV. This is probably one of the most well-known Belgian beers out there. It's very champagne-like. It's very highly carbonated. I don't even know what the volumes of CO2 in this beer are. I would assume it's above 3. Type of beer that you pour and the head just doesn't go away and it's instantly fluffy and it just hangs out for days. Like this has been on the table for, 5 minutes and the head is still there, which is amazing. And this is Dr. Bill. It's one of his favorite beers, if not his favorite beer of all time. Next to, I think, one other beer that he opens on New Year's, which I believe, no, it's made by DuPont. That's a different beer.
Yeah.
But the first time I had this beer was with Dr. Bill. That's why I brought him up.
I don't remember the first time I had Duvel. It's one of those almost, if you go somewhere and they have Belgian beer, you're like guaranteed this is probably going to be there somewhere. It's probably one of the most
ubiquitous.
Yeah, I feel like it's always around. And it's definitely delicious and kind of like you said, grown, or like I said before, this is one of the ones that's really grown on me, and just really.
Ironically, I normally use a Duvel Tulip for all of the beer we do on the show.
Whoops.
And I didn't today because I was like, no, I want to use one of the wacky Belgian glasses.
And since yours is like the triple hopped Citra version, the Tulip may have like served you better, which you completely failed, Jason.
Tastes good to me.
So the triple version, I did have that when it came out. That was just a one-time release as far as I know, right? Is there a date on your bottle?
It just has like an expiration date, which is like 2021.
Okay, well,
So
all right.
like
I guess you're still good.
It's like a Best Buy date, but it doesn't have anything implying it's limited. It seems like it's just a beer because they've made one with cashmere apparently, according to Untapped as well.
Okay. Interesting.
It is the hop character in this beer is very grassy. Like it's coming through with a big green note.
Really? Yeah, because the Duvel that I'm drinking with that is not triple hopped. This is coming off very estery, very fruity, no grass at all. You would think using Citra would just add to that fruitiness, and maybe because I don't know. Is it a fresh hopped beer or whole cone hopped? Did they give details on that?
I don't think they do really, but it does have a little bit of that kind of tropical fruit noise, or tropical fruit essence that they're trying to go for. Who knows how old this is? Again, the date is a fucking mystery. But I think it actually complements a beer pretty well. Hops in Belgian beer are always interesting because they don't approach it the same way as American breweries do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking that beer, while it was probably excellent fresh, is probably going to age pretty well too. Like they know their market, they know who's drinking their beer, and they know how long it probably will sit on a shelf. And they're not trying to make a super fresh West Coast IPA. They're trying to zing it up, basically, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. And I feel like when you get Belgian beers, like the hoppiness is more complementary than it is in your face.
Yeah.
Especially with it. To me, it's always been more yeast forward, more of that, again, Belgian-y esters as opposed to in your face with hops, which getting into beer, like hops were the hot thing at the time. So that's why I think it took me a little while to really get into it. But overall, like it's got a lot of sort of like fruity sweetness, not like sweet as in candy, but just like you kind of get that like fruit sweetness, and then it mellows out, and there's like just a mild little like lingering, there's some hops here.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up the yeast character, because these Belgian beers, like, it's pretty much all about the yeast character. And if they make them darker or slightly roastier, of course, that's going to add to that profile of the beer. But it's like with American breweries, West Coast IPA, you're using Cal Ale 001, which is a yeast that is just basically bland and out of the way. It does its job. It ferments the beer. It's your job. And if you don't hop it or do whatever, you just want to make a plain blonde or something, yeah, it's still a good yeast. You still get an essence of that yeast, but it's very low key. And with Belgian breweries, especially, like Duvel, where that yeast character is so prominent, using different hops to complement that yeast kind of reminds me of like the new haze craze, where now the yeast is the focus along with the dry hopping and the hops used in the beer, because the yeast adds that fruity character and you're using the hops to build on that fruity character. And it's kind of like Americans, in a weird way, have come around to making Belgian beer in their own way. It's bastardized, but like it just got me to thinking about that, how now we're using yeast in IPA and hops to make a different thing. Like Duvel is a yeast forward beer with hops to make a different thing.
I would, and to add on to that, I would say that only in the last couple of years has it really become prominent for a brewery making an IPA to like call out and praise the different kind of yeast that they're using. Because before like the haze craze, and I don't remember ever unless you went digging or you were like beer nerding it up. Like I don't remember anyone ever really being like, oh yeah, we're using this yeast and this yeast. Now it's like right on the side of the damn can on most of these hype beers. You're just like, oh, okay.
It's a selling point. And if you were looking up the yeast of a random stone beer or something, it's because you were probably going to homebrew it. And you want to like make it as close as possible to whatever beer you're trying to brew. And yeah, now it's a selling point. It's a feature, you know?
Yeah. So the back of the Duvel bottle says it takes 90 days to make the perfect Duvel.
Yeah, they actually aged the beer from what I read. Yeah.
Warm cellaring for secondary fermentation, then cold cellaring to perfection.
Good. I appreciate that. I appreciate that extra effort.
And that, that extra effort, honestly, is even though I would like consider this more of like a mass-produced Belgian beer, I feel like majority of Belgian beers have at least some level of like meticulous care put into them, or at least originally did before.
It very much seems more, at least presents as more emblematic of your like old school kind of artisan kind of thing, right? Which I bet you if you go to the fucking Duvel Mortgut brewery, it is the same stainless steel beer factory as anywhere else. But
it probably looks like Firestone Walker. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the beers again, like putting in the extra effort of aging it so it when they sell it is ready is something that you don't see that level of care put into a lot of American breweries. They're just like, yeah, age it at home or don't. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, granted, I get brewing in America obviously took a long time to really pick up, but even if it is, just some stainless steel, macro looking factory, they've had since 1871 to perfect that recipe. So unlike local breweries who have had maybe like 20 years, 30 years max.
Well, no, they didn't brew this in 1871. The brewery itself opened in 1871,
sure.
and the beer was first brewed in 1923.
Well, still,
it's a long time.
Yeah,
I'm just clarifying because I put it in the notes and I read it.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean that's for sure. You have a level of like time to really.
You've been brewing beer for like over 100 years. You know what you're doing. Yeah.
And we've talked about kind of the other side of it a lot, right? Which is, we do things the old way because that's the way, and there's downsides to that, but I think it's kind of fun to celebrate the upsides to it as well. In fact, everything I bought is stuff that I have seen a handle on at like a Belgian focused bar. So in my head, I'm looking at stuff you see at bars that are like, we are a Belgian beer bar. Everything I got is like very traditional Belgian stuff. It's not like American Belgian stuff. It's just, straight up regular Belgian, got a gnome on it.
Yep. You got to have a gnome for sure.
That's the Le Chouffe Blonde that's you're holding up, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Is that your next beer?
It may be.
I think you guys are doing the Oval next.
We could do Orville. I got Orville too.
Orval.
Will and Orville Redenbacher.
I will say for sure one of the biggest problems that I run into with doing podcasts and Belgian beers is making sure that I pronounce crap right. I remember.
Try your best, yeah.
Oh, for sure. There were a couple of situations where we did it on my other show back in the day, and I was like going on YouTube looking for interviews with the brewer to make sure that I got it right.
Yeah, there's one brewery on here that I actually went to like how to pronounce this, some website, I don't know, and they just literally pronounced it the way it's typed, and it's like, no, that's not right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna grab my next Orval, right?
I'll grab an Orval. Actually, I just took all my beer out, so.
Yep. I don't have a fancy fridge, so it just sits next to me till the end of the show. The last beer is always just a little warmer.
Good guy Orval. Made with Brett, doesn't fucking explode when you open it.
Look at all that. Oh, nice. Good job.
We're doing it.
That is something big head.
Ooh.
That's epic.
In the chat, Le Chouffe Blonde, Triple Caramelite, and St. Bernardus. I also have a Triple Caramelite here. Woo!
I've got the St. Bernardus triple.
I did not get St. Bernardus. I feel like I go to St. Bernardus all the time, so I tried not to this time.
This is one of those bottles where like I always see it in the import section, but I've never picked it up before.
They're a brewery that flies under the radar. I mean, unless you're a beer geek, you appreciate St. Bernardus and how awesome their beers are.
I believe wasn't there a brewery that was like an offshoot from of West Veltrin that like they were brewing it and they weren't allowed to anymore and they just kept going, and it wasn't that St. Bernardus?
Yeah, that's roughly the story as I've understood it, is that St. Bernardus used to make West Veteran 12, and then somehow there was a split, but basically the ABT 12 is roughly almost the same beer.
Okay, good. I was right.
I don't have it in front of me, so I'm badly remembering details after drinking accidentally 9% beer. So.
Yeah, the St. Bernardus Quad is the closest thing you're going to get to like West Veteran 12 or whatever it is.
And I might argue actually kind of better. So
yeah, Steve Johnson, Steve and Dave, formerly of New Brew Thursday, would agree with you.
And you can just get it at every store. You can get it in a gift set at Christmas. It comes with like a free bonus glass.
Yeah, you get like a winter beer in there, and it's fun.
That's the thing. Like, I always heard that this St. Bernardus was like the best way to at least experience what you might get, because finding a Westie is next to impossible. It seems like I got one from somewhere. I did it on my old show, and it was fantastic. But like, you're not going to find it.
The mystery is why it's good. And in fact, they basically put a nail in their own heart. It's funny. So when I got into beer around 2009, 2010, that was one of the big gets. And a big part of it was the romance of like, the only place you're going to get this is by going to a brewery out in the countryside of Belgium, and they won't fucking ship it and they don't distribute. And that
you have to call ahead, give them your license plate. You can only take one crate.
It's kind of like right now, going to breweries in California. You call ahead, you order the beer, they put it in your trunk, you leave.
But there was this romance of it, right? And then in 2012, it was something like they needed to do a fundraiser because the brewery needed a new roof or something like that. And they released packs in the US, and it was expensive, but it was like you could get a 6-pack and a glass. And that like completely killed the mystique of the beer. Everyone's like, oh cool, I tried it, good. And instead of like an article on Thrillist every fucking week being like the best beer in the world ? It's just like, yeah, it's good.
But I do appreciate the fact that like, oh, the Abbey needs a new roof, we're gonna just sell a special 6-pack. Cool.
They're doing a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Dude, I love this like chunky head that's hanging on this beer.
That looks so good.
It's just, it is just thick.
That color's nice too, like an ambery. It's not. You said you're like all gold. That's not gold.
It's pretty gold. It's pretty gold, man.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's kind of a murky gold, I would say.
Okay, maybe it's just the camera. It comes across more amber. Oh, also you have your lights on, so that's probably.
I have great lighting. Thank you.
This smells
your beautiful
great.
face.
It's got like this like pineapple-y Brett smell to it, where there's like a little hint of funk to it, but then kind of a sweetness, and I think you're getting some of that sweet flavor from the sweet aroma that you get out of like Belgian yeast and maybe a little candy sugar, because this is a Brett in the bottle beer, right?
As far as I know, yes. And this is also a hop forward beer as far as aroma hops go. And Orval's a beer that's like a different experience, fresh and then, fresh and cellared. And on the bottle itself, like they have a package date and a best by date. So those dates are separated by 5 years. So you can, experience this beer, buy a 6-pack, open one every year. And yeah.
How old is yours, John?
Mine is from 2019. It's from September of 2019.
Mine's July
about a
of
year
2019. Old. So yeah, about the same. But
And,
this is a famously good aging beer.
I think it was Tim that brought up West Veteran selling the beer in the States to help put a new roof on the
that was
brewery.
Jason.
Oh, was it? Okay. Orval is kind of the same thing. That's actually where the beer came from, according to their description on Untapped. The brewery was created in 1931 to finance the enormous reconstruction works of Orval, and they hired lay workers on the outset, including the master brewer who invented the recipe. So a bunch of monks needed to fix their abbey, and they hired some people to make beer, and they sold the beer, and they're still selling the beer. And
I really like to imagine that it's like an 80s movie montage where they're just like, you gotta do good, you gotta make some beer, we're gonna fix the monastery. And there's just a bunch of dudes in robes going around like with a mash paddle.
And then at the end, they're like putting roof panels on.
That's right. There's like painting, and then like someone like flings paint, and they all laugh.
I think that's
the conflict though is like, is the beer going to be good? And so they hire a lay person to make this recipe, and it's like, can we trust him to make the beer? I don't know. And the guy's like, no, this takes about 2 months to fully develop, and so it's like this. It's like, is it going to be good? Is it going to sell? Is it going to sell? And they all get together and drink it.
Oh, like part of the montage, they're like drinking it out of the tank, and they're like
spinning it out.
Like,
yeah.
Not ready. Wait.
Time is your friend.
I do really appreciate like the, you mentioned romance earlier, but the like this idea that these Trappist beers are like brewed in this abbey, and there's so much tradition, and just like I don't want to go down the path of like it, there's so much oh god, I can't think of the word that I want, but there's just so many like rules and procedures within like religion or certain religions, and to kind of take those rules and procedures and apply them to beer with such a like traditional value. I don't know. There's something really special about that always really intrigues me.
Well, that's kind of like the International Trappist Association, like that they have a whole branding thing. Like they have a brand. They have their own brand where like you have to meet certain criteria to put, this is a Trappist product on your label. And it just doesn't apply to beer. Like they do bread, brewer's yeast, cheeses, chocolate, cleaning products, cookies and biscuits, honey, jam, liqueur, mushrooms, olive oil, wine. Like,
have the cleaning products been approved by the FDA to fight COVID?
I will buy some.
They've been approved by God.
I want Trappist cleaning products. Yeah. What are their cleaning products? Let's see.
Trappist sanitizer comes in a fucking dual bottle.
I was picking these beers. So first off, I appreciate that a lot of these beers are fairly cost effective and fairly easy to get. So I picked everything up to go at Bevmo, which was really easy because they're close. And while I was in line, I know everybody's making hand sanitizer now. A lot of breweries and distilleries kind of switched over to doing it. And I've seen it in a bunch of different bottles. But I saw literally like a wine bottle full, like a screw top wine bottle that just said hand sanitizer.
In the midst of the like crazy crisis of like nobody had sanitizer at work, we started getting these bottles that were made by Sazerac, the Sazerac distillery. And it was straight up like a Popov plastic vodka handle bottle. So like 1.75 liter plastic vodka bottle. And it's just hand sanitizer, just had a black and white label, sanitizer made by Sazerac distillery, in like a bottom shelf plastic vodka bottle.
Yeah, sketchy times call for sketchy things, I guess.
See, the black and white label, I get it, because at least it kind of comes across like medical. I saw like a black label with like red accents. I swear to God, if you picked it up and you took it to a party, people would just be like, "Oh, check out this wine."
Till they open it, all the like bootleg sanitizers smell like fucking stank.
Yeah, because they're not filtered, and there was a couple bottles I got from my company where like my superintendent bought them himself out of his own pocket, and he was like, "Here you go. Let me know if you need more." And I put it on my hands. I'm like, oh, "This smells like ass. I have to live with this like the whole day." And like they're like, use it every time you get in and out of your van. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can stand without throwing like what. And I got used to it. And then luckily I got used to that smell. I ran out of those, and then like hand sanitizer was more abundant.
Yeah.
And I like hand sanitizer that smells like alcohol, because I'm fine with rubbing alcohol the way it smells. Like, and so if I put that on my hands, I feel like, yes, my hands are getting clean, and I can smell the alcohol in my hands, and that's what I use now. So yeah, but at first it was horrible. It was like, this smells like ass, dude. This is bad. And it was just, they're scrambling to make hand sanitizer, so I get it. Like, you can't filter it and filter it and filter it, but
How's the Orville?
I really enjoy this beer.
This
It's
is
got
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of bitter. It's really balanced. It's not super estery. It is a super drinkable beer, and both of these beers have really hidden that they. Oh, this one's only 7%, so it's not too bad. The Duvel was 9.5, and it did not taste like 9.5, even a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah. This, I get a lot of that like fruity, grapey raisin character. It's like in the middle of like between like a grape and a raisin kind of thing. And I still get like fruity hop character kind of thing.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a hop profile, and they mentioned in the description actually that they dry hop it. They describe it in the description. It says later in the storage cellars, hops are once again added. This is the so-called British dry hopping, which produces the delightful aroma. It's just like fabled in the Britons, dry hopping.
It doesn't come off hoppy at all. It's definitely a big like dark fruit character. As far as compared to like the Duvel with that Belgian yeast nose, yeah, you do pick it up. But I think I don't know, I don't want to say dessert like, but and it's kind of like fruit bowl, kind of dark fruit, kind of yeast forward. It's everything, but still it smells light. It doesn't smell like it's gonna like be an impactful like Belgian beer. And then like that Breck character on there, it just dries it up really nice. It's yeah.
Yeah, just a super enjoyable beer, and it feels like it's going to be a lot more challenging than it is. And it's not a really challenging beer. It's actually pretty damn drinkable. I'd be really curious to see how this would go over with your non-beer friends, like your wine friends or people who are just like, I'm not a beer person. Because it's got a lot of elements that are very beery, but it's got others that are not. So I could see it working for your non-beer crowd too.
I don't know, because it does have a level of bitterness to it that I think could be challenging for wine people. Because I mean, I'm not a wine person, but I don't think wine is that bitter. Usually, it's usually very dry or sweet, or somewhere in between, but not bitter. You know, and so this is a beer, and it does have a certain level of bitterness on the flavor, and I think that would be the most challenging the most challenging part for people that that drink wine.
I hate those challenging farts.
Telling you, man.
That broke me. I don't know why challenging fart is what got me, but it really did.
By the way, there's a thing called Orval Day. I think it's every year on October 3rd. And if you buy beer from participating merchants on that day, they don't donate money to charity. Oh. So, yeah, I don't know if they're doing it this year. Last year, I wanted to participate, and I went to Bevmo, and they usually have Orval, and they had none when I went there, and I was very disappointed.
So the only downside about drinking Belgian beer at home is I'm missing all of the great tap handles.
Yeah, for sure. They're all wild.
They're some of my favorites, and I just put together in the background a little compilation of tap handles for the ones I have. So two of them, the Duvel and the Duvel triple hop and the Orville, they don't have tap handles because they're bottle only beer. But these three,
oh my god!
Look at that old pirate guy. It's like just a weird clay pirate.
Foreshadowing.
And then Triple Caramelly has like a bottle or a glass that looks like an Ed Hardy shirt.
And then the gnome from Shoof. like
Yeah, I
shoof.
love that little gnome.
Yeah, well known.
Do you want to do the Rochefort, John?
Sure.
Since I figured since we both have it, and then after that we can try and go off on our own.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Yep. Glug 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 glug. That is the most epic goblet.
Right?
Maybe not most epic, but it's still pretty damn cool.
It's fun. It's fun to bring out the fun glasses here and there.
I got rid of all those fun glasses. I'm sad.
I have them in a closet, and I don't usually use them.
Oh yeah, this looks good.
So, can you guys guess the brand name of the Trappist soaps?
Heavenly.
Pope on a rope.
That's really good, but no, they're called Trap.
What?
TRAPP. Trap.
Like
All
That's the
right.
brand name. Trap. What should we call our soaps? Well, we're Trappist monks. How about Trap? Sold.
We did it.
I believe that's the soap sponsored by Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap.
That's the theme of the show. No, it's not. I know.
Let's see.
I like how this one. I'll hold it up unless you have a better view, but it has the authentic Trappist product.
You can bring that up if you want. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hang on.
Lead us in.
It does? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. It's just, let's see. So they have, what is it, 6, 8, and 10? Is that how these go?
I
think, yeah.
believe
We have the
so.
middle one, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely know that I went for the middle.
This little, oh.
Orville also
9.2.
has Orville has the little authentic Trappist logo on there too. It's just really small. It's that little gold one right there.
Very, very, very tiny.
How handy.
Okay, so up next, we're drinking a beer that I think we all have. Am I
Just
right?
you and me, I believe.
Oh, Jesus Christ, this sucks. I cannot wait till we're back in my studio because this is very confusing. This is Trappist Rochefort 8. This is the beer that came to mind when I thought of doing like a Trappist beer show. Like this has all of those like authentic, like just straight up old school, like Trappist beer qualities that I enjoy. It's also 9.2% alcohol by volume. They have a number 6 version, a number 8 version, and a number 10 version, I believe. I think that's the limit. And so we're drinking the one right in between. And Jason, what are you drinking?
I poured a Le Chouffe Blonde. I love Le Chouffe because it has a little gnome on it, and I think the gnome is just the best. I remember seeing a Le Chouffe like hopped kind of IPA sort of beer, and it was the first time I ever saw a Belgian IPA. This is not that, but just reminded me of it. Also, they call it a blonde, so you're like, yeah, it's going to be like 5%, and you know it's a blonde ale, right? But it's actually a Belgian strong golden, so
Got those
it's
sneaky
8%.
Sneaky,
Yeah.
sneaky Belgians.
Wow.
That's nuts. Yeah,
And their
Okay.
description is like just fairy tales. It's not even like fucking. It's just talking about the gnomes of fairyland are particularly fond of it, and it gives them a zest for life. At least that's what these imps say when they're thirsty. God damn it! Can you tell me anything about this? Okay.
Yeah, that's not helpful. I will say a quick side note. You mentioned Belgian IPA. Like I obviously, again, before I actually had an appreciation for Belgians, I was like, Belgian IPA was kind of coming out, and obviously like IPA was the hot thing. And so I was always like, oh, what IPAs? What IPAs? And I had a Belgian IPA. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I believe the first one I had was from Stone. Like it was one of their, I think, anniversary beers was a Belgian IPA thing, and
Belgo.
yeah. Oh God, they went through the whole Belgo thing, didn't they? Yeah, with different things. Yeah, but the IPA they did, I think I enjoyed it. Other beers that were Belgo interpretations, not so much.
Before we were discussing the fact that the Trappist beers coming straight from the Abbeys, like there's this whole Trappist association and the rules around it. I can't remember exactly how many there are. I think there's like
3 rules.
Well, hold on. I mean, as far as breweries, I think there's like 8 or 12. I can't remember, but
There
it's very
are
few.
14 actually.
Okay, 14. So yeah, still it's very few officially Trappist Abbeys, but Jason pointed out that Oval still has it, but we noticed on this guide they've got their little authentic Trappist product.
Yep, that's a thing, and there are criteria that you have to meet in order to put that on your label, and you have to basically, let's see, all products must be made within the immediate surroundings of the abbey. Production must be carried out under the supervision of monks or nuns, and profits should be intended for the needs of the monastic community for purposes of solidarity within the Trappist order or for development projects and charitable works. So basically, you're a nonprofit brewing beer inside of your abbey. And that's it.
I really enjoy the protected food categories. I think it's kind of nice to maintain the heritage of that. Yeah. We don't really have that in the States outside of weirdly liquor. There are protected liquor categories.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
You have to meet very specific rules to say you're making like bourbon.
Yeah. It was always interesting reading about those too, because back on Drinking Socially, we would do like a style of the show, and I would go back and just dig into the research of the style. And there were so many European styles that were just like, it's like geographically protected product or something like that. It was really interesting reading about that, how like, I can't think for sure exactly what style, but let's say like a Marzen, right? Like a Marzen from the US is in no way officially ever considered a Marzen. That I don't think that's, that's just an example. That's not.
It's like champagne is only from a certain part of France, and otherwise it's a sparkling white wine.
Exactly. And I found that so interesting. It was just really cool.
I respect that, and like that means you're getting an authentic product because they own that name, and if you're going to get an actual champagne, like okay, it's from there. Whether or not it's good is up to the drinker, but it's from that region.
Mm-hmm.
So
how is the Trappist beer? Is it as rich and caramelly as you hoped?
Well, it's not. I guess caramelly is a little bit, but for me, this is all raisin on the nose.
There we go.
Big, yeasty raisin character, almost like dark cherry on the nose. This is exactly what I was thinking when I thought of this show. This is what I wanted. I mean, on one hand, it could come off heavy on the nose because you're smelling all of these rich things in the aroma, but it still finishes really, really dry. But it's very mouth coating and tasty, and complementary to the aroma. Just excellent beer. That just, I mean, you do have to have an appreciation for Belgian beer. Like if you're new to drinking beer and you just pick this up off the shelf, I think you would struggle with it. But once you're aware of what Belgian beer is and what it's like, it's so good. It's one of the best.
Yeah, and I think I was going to mention right before you said it, like raisin, like bready raisins is one of like I feel the most common descriptions for these sort of darker Trappist beers, which is kind of interesting because it almost seems like very associated with it.
The number, by the way, corresponds to a like old timey gravity calculation that was apparently Belgian brewing degrees is what it's called, but it's a measurement of the original gravity of the beer. And in olden times, it was legally mandated that they had to use that scale, and it was used for like taxation by the government until apparently the 1990s. But that's where the name's still hanging out with so 6, 8, and 10 are the measurement of the original gravities of the beer in Belgian brewing degrees.
Damn, that's awesome. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, fun times.
The more you know.
Yeah, I gotta love a good fun fact. I mean, I feel like I come across sounding like almost every beer nerd out there, but I would thoroughly enjoy a beer tour of Belgium. Like I feel like I said, that's one of those things I almost seem like I've heard almost every beer nerd friend of mine say, or honestly even do, but I still stand behind it.
Yeah, like Belgium and like Germany.
Dude.
Two hot spots that I would love to like just explore and drink beer. Like if we weren't in the after times, that'd be awesome.
Remember that time that we went to a seminar at the like craft beer summit, and it was just a dude showing his vacation photos through Europe. He was like, when I went to this brewery in Belgium, it was like this, and then when I went to this brewery in the Czech Republic, and I'm like, man, is this just
wasn't that related to like a certain style?
It was like brewing classic, or it's like discussion of classic styles or something like that, and it was just him being like, so when I had a traditional Czech Pilsner inside this brewery, here's some photos of me there, and here's this. It's like, this is just your vacation, asshole.
I don't know, I found it a little bit interesting, and we got to drink the beers that he was talking about on his vacation, so that was kind of fun. I don't know. And the beers were free, quote unquote, even though, I mean, if we were media, but if you would have paid for the conference, you paid for the beers. But I don't know. You bust that guy's balls a lot. I thought he was fine. It was fine.
It was bullshit.
How's your gnome nectar?
It's good, man. It is a Belgian strong golden, which is very, has that kind of residual sweetness, a little bit of estery, but not too much. You don't get that cloviness. You get that more like kind of bubblegum sort of thing. And when I was first getting into beer, I really loved a couple different Belgian strong goldens, especially Alesmith had one. It's Horny Devil, right? I believe it was called. And that was one of my favorite beers when I was first getting into it. So it's reminiscent of that, and it's a good trip down memory lane.
When you think clove in beer, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Clove, like wit beer, I guess.
Well, yeah, you mentioned like clovey character. What's the first thing that you think of?
Yeah, that kind of estery thing. I mean, honestly, some of the other beers, like Duvel, has a little bit more of a estery, clovey kind of thing to it, in my opinion.
I think clovey is spicy. When I say spicy in relation to like a Belgian beer, I would agree.
Okay.
Duvel. This does not have any kind of clove character. This is This is all like, this honestly reminds me of like winter Christmas time. Like
for sure.
It's very comforting. Like,
and it's super like it's warming, but also very easy drinking. It's not. It's like. You get the like alcohol warming because obviously it's like a slightly higher ABV, but it also is so easy drinking that this is, you got a cold winter, like, for sure.
I mean, I think people would tend to lean towards drinking stouts when it's really cold out. And I see that, but those are also pretty heavy, and they're, I don't know. They're richer, I think. There's more to process with a stout, where this is kind of stripped back, but you still get those like nice bread characteristics, the raisin characteristics. It's fruity but light, but still has, it's 9% alcohol. It's got everything. It's like the best cold weather beer in my opinion.
Well, I think you get a lot less of that roasty element, which is a big difference, I think, between the darker stuff.
And I think the roasty thing could be off-putting, especially over an extended period of time. And when I think of like a big, like robust stout, it's usually in like a 22 or a 750, and that roast can really be taxing on your palate. Yeah, that's a good point.
While I like stouts, I feel as though, you had like there's a very specific characteristic to a stout. if you get a stout, there are certain points that you're going to get from it. But when you kind of go into like the darker Belgian arena, there are a couple of characteristics, but I feel like they differ a bit more than just like, I'm going to have a bunch of stouts versus I'm going to have a bunch of these like darker Belgian beers. I feel like there's more differentiation and more interesting characters coming from the Belgian side.
And I think, they're a little more complex, I think, than like an American stout is. Definitely, I agree. Okay, so my last beer is that Dust Bowl beer, which is a zinger made with cherries.
Got this. St. Bernardus is my last one.
All right, I'm going to get mine.
I do like, I don't know if you noticed, John, but on the Duvel, it says under the like 11.2 fluid ounces on mine, it says pour unhurriedly.
That's, yeah. Because that head will fucking jump out of the glass.
Yes, indeed.
Dude, all of these beers have had like very remarkable, like lingering thick head that just hangs out.
I remember Bill. He would is it Duvel or it's probably Orval. He would pour it and then make something in the foam that looked like something. What's going on?
That was an interesting setup. Whoa.
Jason's big.
Show.
Why am I the big one?
I don't know. That's what she said. Let me try.
I don't want it.
It's a new feature, actually. So I'm going to see how to make someone else big. Nope, that's just me.
It's riveting.
So what if it's like, we're taking a little break. Let's try this. We're all on the camera. Tim. Nope, still Jason. Why is Jason the dominant?
Well, he is. He's the
So
alpha here.
Nah, I'll play with it later.
Yeah, let's finish the show. there are people watching live. That's what happens when we have 10% beers.
But yeah, he would make things in the foam that use your imagination. I thought it was weird. Okay, so up next, I just opened a beer from Dust Bowl Brewing Company, our friends out of Turlock, California. This is called Twisted Monk. This is a Belgian-style Abbey Ale made with cherries. This was formerly called Cherry Picker, which I'm pretty sure I had at Dust Bowl at some point when we were there. Although I did not check into it, so I don't know if I did or not because I'm a bad Untapped user.
Check in or didn't drink.
Both, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it's like picks or it didn't happen.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Sorry, I totally cut you
Just
off.
completely.
I don't know where to go from there.
John's getting lost there. So I have yet another Belgian stronghold, as it turns out. I have a Pirat. It's like pirate, but with 2 A's and a T. I imagine it's just pirate in a different language. And it's got a cool gold pirate ship on the label. Fun times.
Yeah, this is from Brewery van Steenbergen or Steenberg. I don't know. And they say their brewery stands for independence, progress, and growth, and it emphasizes the traditional art of brewing adapted to the current technology developments and guarantees a reliable and quality guarantees a reliable quality and service. That's okay. That doesn't sound right. Respect for our employees and care for the environment are central to our policy. And I thought that was really good. This brewery is, I think, best known for Golden Drac, which is the beer I see most often on shelves.
Yeah, I actually really came close to buying that, but I bought this instead.
But I have seen Pirate or Pirat. I don't know how you would say that, like in, I don't know, whatever language. Never had anything from this brewery though. I've seen Golden Drac, never bought it. So yeah.
I remember hating Golden Drac, which is why I didn't buy it. I was like, I don't want to suffer through what I remember as hot dog water.
Oh.
Yeah. So that being said, this beer, having it side by side with Le Chouffe, it's kind of a better version of the same thing. It's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit sweeter, a little bit of that estery sweetness, but comes off really drinkable in comparison. And let me see, what's the alcohol on it?
10.5.
10 and a half. Holy
Hi, Jason.
Oh my god.
R.I.P. I'm just gonna lay down right here.
It's so drinkable. It's so wow.
I am doing light pours of these. I'm not pouring the whole glass. I did on the Duvel and I learned my lesson. I'm doing small pours now.
I think the lightest beer that I bought was this one from Dust Bowl, which is 7.7. Like
Yeah, I'm on
I
this.
did not plan properly.
That's true. My last one here is the St. Bernardus triple. And this is my lightest at 8 out of the 3 that I got. Also, I think I see Jason's Halloween costume right here. Let's get some robes and use your chalice.
I'm just gonna shave my head. So.
Well,
it's my quarantine haircut.
Quarantine
cut.
cut.
The barber.
Good to go.
Yeah, I was gonna buy let's see, I went to La Bodega and they had 2 beers from St. Bernardus. One was the Quad and the other was like a sour something. And the Quad was like 12 or something percent.
Oh man, that would be
like,
so delicious.
It's like, nope, I'm not gonna. And it was a 750. Like it was not messing around. So
yeah, that's dangerous for the show.
Nope.
So the St. Bernardus triple comes off just this is probably the epitome of like what I would say just screams Belgian. Like when you smell it, you just right off the bat, just a lot of that bready sort of yeasty character that you'd expect. I don't know if I've had a St. Bernardus before. I feel like I was mentioning maybe pre-show. This monk is like anytime I went to Total Wine and I passed through the import section, it's always just there staring, just like, hey, come over here and have a good time. But I never bothered picking it up. So I can't remember if I've had it, but overall, like it's pretty damn solid. It's just it's very light. Again, like it's 8%, but it's delicious. I'm really glad we did the Belgian stuff.
This one from Dust Bowl, it's got a really nice kind of like cherry bread character on it. Like the cherry is very dominant on the nose. Not like those like bar cherries, those super red ones. Jason, what are those called?
Luxardo.
Maraschinos?
Oh, maraschino. Yeah,
no, Luxardos are the good ones. They're the really dark, rich ones. Yeah, maraschinos are the gross ones.
Let's see. Do they specify which cherries are in this on the can? They do not. No. But you do get like a cherry note on it, which cherries I think can definitely overwhelm a beer if used in mass quantity.
It goes medicinal really easily too.
Yeah.
Cherry's a really hard flavor to pull off.
It does not smell medicinal. It smells really good. Like the bread character, I think the malty bread character is what stands out most with this beer, which good. Like I don't want like a big cherry character.
What I really find fun about revisiting the like classic Belgian styles is there's a flavor profile here that you really don't get. Like American craft beer, as varied as it is, you're not getting the flavors and profiles that you're getting from these beers unless they're American versions of the same beer. But even then, they're not that popular. They used to be more so, but it's just kind of uncommon. I think it's fallen out of fashion a little bit, but I think these are really cool beers. And if you have a bar that's Belgian focused in your area, like whenever we can go outside again, go have a good time. The just it's a fun experience for your palate to kind of look at these beers and drink them a little critically and think about them, because they're just way different flavor profiles than we're used to.
And again, like I said, I think Belgian beer for the newer beer drinker isn't really approachable, because they're pretty complex. And I don't think we've been drinking beer for a long time. For myself, like over 10 years, I've been into craft beer. And so my palate is like tuned into what a Belgian beer is. And 10 years ago, I remember drinking a Belgian beer and spitting it out because it was horrible, because I didn't know what I was drinking. And now it's like, oh yeah, I get it. And drinking this beer from Dust Bowl, what you said, Jason, about like Americans, like it's not like they're trying to duplicate or copy what Belgian breweries are doing, but this Twisted Monk Belgian style Abbey Ale, it still comes off very American. Like it finishes drier than I think it should be. It's kind of it's not really complex. You taste like the bready malt character. You taste the cherry, and that's pretty much it. And that rich Belgian yeast character doesn't really come through. It's a good beer, but I don't think it's obviously not nearly as good as Orval. Like spanks on this beer. Like it's and Orval is so easily accessible, where this beer is kind of like a get kind of thing. And well, it says a lot about like Belgian breweries, and like there's a reason why it's, over the, decades they've sold their beer and keep producing it, and people keep buying it because it's really good. Like they wouldn't make it if people didn't buy it.
Yeah. And as someone who wrote off Belgian beer early on, I would definitely say, like, if you already decided like you wrote it off, you should definitely revisit it. Just there's so many different things out there that are like, you can't just classify all Belgian beers as like, I hate Belgian beers, because there are so many different styles within that category.
Yeah.
That, the golden, the triples, the quads. Like if you want something heavy, you got a quad. If you want something light, you got like a nice little contrary to Jason's examples, you've got like some decent goldens out there that'll keep you, not so toasty. But it's worth revisiting. It's worth checking out, because it's just so interesting. Like you said, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice change of pace, and I'm glad we did this versus, like it just really breaks up the styles that we've had on the show, having something that's just very different. It's a very different approach to beer. It's very yeast forward with a very distinct profile. I had a lot of samey styles, so I had a lot of the same yeast profile in these beers. But yeah, no, it was really fun to go revisit Belgian beer, and it kind of makes me think I should do some more often, like Belgian beer. Because I think even drinking these triples, or a triple from a Belgian brewery, you're getting a bit more of a character than drinking like an Allagash triple.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think they tend to have a little bit more earthy, funky characters, and they're more open to that, where American versions tend to try to be more clean all the way through. And I think I like the character that the traditional European beers bring. So it's fun to revisit them.
I think a lot of American breweries that are trying to emulate Belgian beer styles too, it's not like they're trying to Americanize those beers. They want to, they want to make something that's authentic to the style, but still be American and brewed in America. And I think that's where the struggle is. Like, even looking at the Lost Abbey, like a place that's like a Belgian style brewery, or like The Brewery, who like opened as a Belgian style brewery. Like that was their whole focus. They have yet to nail it. As like actual Belgian breweries have nailed it, because they've been doing it for, in some cases, over 100 years. And that quality and that I don't know, that length of time does come through in these beers. Like you're drinking history when you drink a really finely made, a really good Belgian beer. And not discrediting what these American breweries are doing. They're making really good beers, but there's something different. They're not like the authentic thing. You know,
I think also it's fallen out of fashion, right? As I said, and we got kind of confirmed in the chat too. Kai, who's one of our European listeners, confirmed that they're falling out of fashion in Europe too with the craft beer types. But I'm wondering if we won't have a renaissance of Belgian beer the same as we're having like a resurgence of Pilsners and styles that were kind of underappreciated before. As the scene matures, I think I would like to imagine that we're going to see a renaissance of these beers because these are really interesting, really good beers that have been made for a long time for a reason, and hopefully as the craft beer scene matures, like we redevelop an appreciation for them.
Well, and I feel like styles are very cyclical. They come back in fashion in a cycle, and right now we're in this like idea of seltzers and low ABV and approachable and things that aren't going to F you up because you don't want to share stupid shit on Instagram or whatever. That seems to be like the current trend. And it all comes back around. Eventually, I think we'll see this kind of like resurgence, and I can only hope for it because the quality that goes into these styles of beers is, I think, it's unmatchable by many breweries.
bam. All right.
as I try to sound philosophical and wrap it up.
No, you did good. I like it.
Not once did we do the Dr. Evil thing where he talks about Belgians being not to be trusted.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like. Yeah, I didn't necessarily go into this, but like we had a whole fucking trip planned. We were gonna go through Belgium and into Germany and road trip, and we had to cancel it, which sucked. But like, I'm so regretting that right now.
When was this supposed to happen?
Oh, like a year ago, like last October or something. It wasn't COVID related. It was other life related issues. But
Got it.
Like yeah.
Well, you guys can stop recording if you want.
Thanks, John.
Orval was the fucking winner, man. That was such a great beer.
I had the last time I had an Orval was on the train from Paris to Amsterdam.
That sounds great. Oh my god.
Even
Like,
old New York.
Walked up to the
Paris to Amsterdam, like
yeah, well, we passed right through Belgium to do that, and I was like,
I think I saw a porno called that.
Paris to Amsterdam.
Paris to Amsterdam, yeah.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Rocco was going from one to the other.
All right, I'm going back on the Twitch chat, and I'm looking for.
We're doing Wave still, right?
Yeah, Wave.
Thanks.
Yeah, Twitch chat was lit today.
Max.
Good job, Twitch.
So Kyle from the chat, I think he gave us 100 bits, which thank you for that. And
please, somebody enlighten the noobs here. What's a bit?
A bit is a penny.
Oh, okay.
So if we get 100 bits, that's $1.
Oh, that's neat.
Do we have to like spank ourselves if we get 100 bits, or like show Bob and Vajid?
Wait,
I don't get the.
Are there Patreon levels there? Like you get a reward?
That's right.
No, this is just
go to my OnlyFans for the uncensored version.
So I was curious. Like I saw a thing that said it was showing like the growth of things like Patreon, and like only it was like Patreon and this, and like OnlyFans was like whoosh. Like,
well,
Tim,
charts. If you want to like get naked and do the show, like no, but do it.
Hold on. So I had this thought. Like, I know that OnlyFans is fully like associated with, nudity and like this idea of like selling, subscriptions to your nude pictures. But I was wondering, like, are there people that use it for there's got to be people who use it for non-sexual reasons.
Like the Cardi B just got on OnlyFans, and I watched a video where these two dudes like subscribed to her OnlyFans, and she had 2 videos up. One was like a behind the scenes thing, and the other one was her actually like doing like a TikTok kind of thing, or like something she'd do on like IG stories.
Yeah.
You didn't see her tits or anything. Like it wasn't porn related, but it was just, it was her. Not to say she won't do that in the future. Like, I don't know where she stands on like, getting naked and whatnot, but I don't think okay, I've never been to onlyfans.com, so I don't know if it's like a prerequisite that you have to like get naked or whatever.
I think it's just a platform that somehow got associated with it because it's so free. And
that's
so it's
what
like,
I think too. Yeah.
I feel like you could do anything you want on it. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. It just so happens that they are more open to it.
So
I just found it really interesting, and I was wondering I'm sure it's a high percentage of that, but I was curious like what percentage of people are just on there because it's like a very simplistic and clean platform.
I know where you're coming from, and I know what you're asking, but I don't think I think it's the community that's there expects something that we're not going to deliver. Not that I'm saying you think we should go there, but like if you're like a content creator
for $40, Tim will show his butthole.
If you're a content creator looking for another outlet, maybe OnlyFans isn't for you unless you want to show your penis to someone. So.
And you better have a penis that's worth what you're charging for it. So.
These Belgian beers are getting strong.
Mystery Blanket asked about beer subscriptions, and then in the chat somebody said Tavor, but Tavor's the only one I found that didn't just dump off shit beer.
Tim,
that
don't you have
couldn't sell?
Yeah.
Hold on, wait, what?
I thought, Tim, have you dealt with some kind of subscription beer service thing in the past?
Okay, so first off, Tavor is not a beer subscription.
No,
it is in no way a beer subscription. You have to buy it, and they put it in a crate, and they store it for you, and then they ship it all together. That's it. It's not an automatic. You don't get just like a bunch of shit sent to you. I had some friends sign me up for like a rare international beer like subscription for 3 months, and I got that, and while it was good, it was just completely random,
right?
And that was my only experience.
Most of the ones I've seen tend to be beer that breweries couldn't sell that they wholesale off for cheap, and they throw it in a box because they figure if you're buying a box, you don't know any better.
Yeah, so, and I prefer Tavor because you get to pick what you want. And additionally, you get to pick the quantity. So if there's something really cool, you can get more. And I mean, I feel as though I've been a walking, talking billboard for Tavor since I signed up for it. And I'm the first one to fully admit that I deleted their app because I was just like buying way too much. I was like, when I was on, I was like, IPA, buy. And then I got to a point where I was like, I got way too much beer. And I was like, this is going away. I can't do it.
Yeah, quarantine happened. And then New Thursday, Four Brewers was like, okay, we're going to buy a case of beer from Cellar Maker. And Tim was like, okay, delete Tavor.
You know how much of that Cellar Maker I gave to my neighbor?
I believe you. Yeah.
That's a lucky neighbor, man.
Oh, yeah,
good
for
beer.
Sure.
Okay, so Mystery Blanket clarifies. He said, I meant more like the brewery in modern times. So I think he means more like memberships.
Yeah, but see,
that's just really whatever brewery you like.
But that's totally different, I think.
Yeah, it's a different beast, but they tend to be better if you're local. Most of them have an incentive for being a local, going to the tasting room, getting merch, shit like that. So like if you're near one of them, they're pretty good. But like I don't know.
As a life, for 10 years, a member of Reserve Society. If you sign up for Reserve Society and it's like $300, you're prepaying for beer. And so if you just like do that and don't do anything else, then you get your money's worth out of it. If you want to buy some of their like members only beers, do that. But like, don't buy more than 2 bottles. Don't buy a case of beer because you're going to dump it.
John Holzer.
I'm telling you, man, unless you're like associated with a group of people that are going to like share the beers and distribute them to other people, it's not worth it. So
I have a friend who's a member
just know that when you like sign up for these societies, like you're going to get your money's worth from the initial offerings. anything beyond that, whether it's like beers or meetups and stuff like that. Like I think the meetups and stuff that the brewery does is pretty cool. Like they have society only Mondays that are kind of cool, but you're still going to the brewery and giving them more money to drink beer, and it's discounted, but you're still giving them more money. So it's a way to lock you in as a fan and to keep extracting money from you. And I am
for
guilty
me,
of that.
I've been in a few and I tend to leave because they usually are focused on a lot of big adjunct stouts, and like I'm just kind of over that as a style. Like Highland Park, I love Highland Park, and I was a member for 2 years, and I would be getting like, oh yeah, we have the like different coffee variant of our Imperial Stout. And I'm like, yeah, what about Hello LA? They're like, oh, we're just selling that out of the tasting room. Come down on Friday and buy it. And I'm like, well, then I'll just not be a member and come buy Hello LA out of the tasting room on Friday.
Again, like I'm saying, like if you get exclusives that are for the club only, then if you feel like you're getting your money's worth from that, then go for it. But don't go overboard with like thinking you're going to miss out if you don't buy a case of some beer that's like $30 a bottle. Like you're just going to waste your money.
I would say most of the breweries doing it. Well, no, there's some breweries that do it that are just kind of shit, but getting in a membership of any of the big breweries, like you're going to get cool stuff. It'll be fun stuff you can bring to the bottle share.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think any of them are like, oh, holy shit. If you miss out on being Modern Times member this year, like your fucking life's ruined. Like that's fine.
I think that goes for any beer, but I will say like based off of what's in the chat and a friend of mine, the modern, I have no personal experience, but the Modern Times subscription seems to be pretty decent based off what I've heard.
Yeah,
they give you a cool little like challenge coin, and they do like parties. Like they give the full experience, where a lot of places kind of just give you a couple beers and that's it, and you're sucked. And
I was going to join the Modern Times thing, and the thing that stopped me from doing it was how far away they are from where I live. They're just as far as the brewery is in Orange County. And Modern Times is San Diego. I was just like, I don't want to have to deal with that. Like it's something I have to go to San Diego like at least once a year or once a month. I don't know. And
OC is open now. I might revisit it.
Okay, but we'll all sign up for the club when we do the exclusive episode from the new Modern Times pool. We talked about that before. We got to do that,
dude. 4B Poolcast.
We're gonna hang out in the pool right on the edge with our beers. Set up the webcam.
Just set up the mics right on the edge of the pool.
Exactly.
I am down.
It's the white balance. The white
balance. It's been 100+ degrees for the last month, and that sounds like the best thing in my life.
If we're still a podcast in 2022 and Joe Biden's president and the coronavirus has been eradicated from the United States, I'm down.
Yes.
Let's do it. So back to the Twitch chat. So Kyle from the chat, he gifted a bunch of subs and people took him up on that. So thank you for doing that, Kyle. Rocksteady and Bebop subscribed at tier 1. This is their 7th month doing that. So thank you so much for doing that. What are you laughing at?
Look at me.
Huh? What did I do?
Mace in the chat.
Oh.
Why is the pool warm, John?
It's all that Belgian beer we're drinking.
A warm spot just drifted by. That was weird. I don't know.
The hotter the beer, the hotter the piss.
Is there science to that? Like, does higher ABV beer make your piss warmer? Is that legally provable?
I love sidetracking John, by the way.
I don't know. That's the end of my shout outs. That's it. Right. So if you want to give us a sub on Twitch, like I'll give you a shout out right now. But that's it for now.
But beer memberships, yeah, I haven't. Besides, I did Modern Times and Highland Park in the same year. I don't have any right now. Again, right now the beer hype market is not focused on beer I want to buy. So, getting exclusives of a bunch of super fruity Berliner Weisses and adjunct stouts, I'm like, I'm good.
I will say that due to COVID-19 and having so much more just stock beer available online to be shipped to my house, I don't need a membership. Like I can get whatever I want delivered the next day, literally in California. And that's amazing. And I'm fortunate because I live in California where there's a lot of great breweries that can ship within the state limits. And if you're in a spot where you know, that's not possible, that sucks. So maybe if you are, you know, friends with someone who's willing to mule you some beer from like the Modern Times Club or like the Brewery Reserve Society, yeah, go for it. But for someone like me who there's an overwhelming abundance of beer, like it's especially now, it's great. It's I have nothing to complain about.
You mentioning that made me go look at the Cellar Maker website, and oh shit, I may spend some money that I wasn't going to spend a minute ago.
All right, let's go check it out.
Look at this. Look at us.
Good God. Can't. Nope.
Dude, Chronic the Juice Hog.
Dude, here's the thing. That would be amazing, but I would not drink them. I basically like, and this will be sacrilege to say, but like my beer drinking is mostly limited to this show and maybe a scattering here and there.
No, it's fine, Tim.
So there's no. I'm like, oh my God, that looks amazing, but there's no way. Like that would all go to my neighbor.
I'm not implying that any of you guys need to buy this. I'm saying I personally am going to.
Tim, does your neighbor want to come
household?
I mean, maybe.
I love these 4 brewers. Next week, guys. I've got enough Live Oak for all of us, so why don't we just do that? It's all Pilsner, but
I mean, I'm good with
fine.
Yeah, Jason. By the way, I'm willing to find a way to meet you, so you don't have to come all the way out the west side.
That'd be fine. We can meet wherever.
Okay. Well, then let's try and figure out somewhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind an excuse to go driving. So,
dude, these Cellar Maker offerings are calling to me. Oh my God.
All right. On that note, I got to bounce, but let's coordinate. And Jason, I'll try to reduce the amount of driving you have to do. I think
I've
Friday.
got 5 different Live Oak beers, so we can do that next week. I think that'll be a good show.
I am down for that. That sounds great.
Okay, cool. I think Friday is the only day I might not be available, but we'll figure it out.
Cool.
No worries, man.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
I'm buying that Cellar Maker right now.
Enjoy.
Which one? The first one?
The mix pack that I showed you.
The 4. Oh my God.
It's 6 different 4-packs, which is a good variety. The problem I have with the last one is one of the beers you got 3 4-packs of, and it's not that great. It's the It's the name brand one too. It's like the
No, this is an equal distribution of beers. So it's Wicked Juicy, Mount Nelson, Hazy West Coast IPA, or Mostrada. I'm sorry. Shit. All right. Double dry hopped Wicked Juicy, Double Mount Nelson, Sabro, Mostrada, which, that beer owns, Chronic the Juice Hog, Coffee Vehicle, and that's it.
No, we're doing it, guys.
It's 4 cans of each.
Texas Beer Show, I will include a can of Lone Star for each of you guys, too. I'll make a little care package. I'll get the weird Mexican Lone Star that I got.
Cool.
It's like Lone Star Rio Jade. There's also a Lone Star 2%, and I'm super excited to try it because if it's even like 90% as good as a regular beer, why the fuck not? I'll drink a 2% beer.
Yeah.
Here for it.
I'm buying this mix pack from Cellar Maker.
The Ultimate Mix 24 cans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just bought it. I fucked up and looked at there.
Oh, buy with Apple Pay. Perfect.
I use Google Pay, but yeah. Well, I'm good in IPA for the next fucking couple weeks.
There we go.
Blam.
Come on. Confirm.
Dude, I got to cook a brisket tonight, so.
Cook a brisket and a biscuit.
That meaning I'm going to put it on tonight and then I'll eat it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I ordered brisket from Costco using Instacart, and they brought me a fucking 20-pound brisket, which is really heavy. That's a lot. Normally, the biggest one I've done is 14.
So you were not prepared.
No, this is a lot. I'm going to be donating a lot of meat to my friends, I guess, and call my mom and be like, yo, you want some meat?
Mom, you want some meat?
Mom, you want some brisket? I got brisket for you.
If I ate meat, I would take some from you, but I don't. But
it's jackfruit. What if I told you it was jackfruit and gave it to you?
I'd probably eat it. Don't tell Yvonne.
What? I thought it was jackfruit.
All right. We're going to stop the stream here. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. Buy some Belgian beer and, savor the flavor.
Cheese, bros.
Bye, Phil. Bye, May Small.
Love you guys.
Bye, Kai.